So there's this theory about Hollywood that I've been kicking around in the old brain space for a while, and I thought it would be a good idea to extrapolate it using a YouTube video, since making one requires me to sit down and organize my thoughts in the form of a script. So what you're hearing will literally be me unwrapping this idea and seeing what shakes out. The theory goes something like this. No one in Hollywood can actually act. Okay, let me explain. Obviously, there are great actors and actresses. We immediately recognize them when we see a movie starring the likes of Daniel Day-Lewis or Willem Dafoe. Their charisma and presence is so apparent to us that it leaps off the screen. And we know that some people can't act because we recognize that when we see a low-budget or college film, or even local commercials.
Boots and pants and boots and pants.
So I guess a more accurate description of my theory would be that the difference between being a great actor and the average person is nowhere near what we are led to believe. The theory is that almost anyone, you, me, your mailman, could walk onto a Hollywood set and with minimal preparation be serviceable in a role. That the idea of actors being truly gifted and special people with unique talents is nothing more than smoke and mirrors, designed to divert attention away from the machinations of an industry built on corruption, nepotism, and more than likely horrific crimes. Now you may hear that and think, yeah, no shit, I've seen an episode of Entourage, they don't hide that. Only they kinda do, and we kind of accept it.
Get the fuck out!
Here, I'll show you. Sports are a great example of this because they are, for the most part, as pure a meritocracy as you'll find. There are simply no hyper-talented, hyper-dedicated, hyper-fit athletes who are simply not let in the front door of their respective sports. And I said front door in case you're thinking of Colin Kaepernick. Ability and competitiveness are literally all that matters. Doesn't matter who you know or who you're related to. Hell, Michael Jordan had two sons that played basketball seriously, and neither of them came close to sniffing an NBA roster. And we know who is great and who isn't because we see it play out live. We have box scores detailing everything an athlete does, and analytics to compare that to every other athlete. So if the sports world is a place where success is determined by ability and merit, what does that make Hollywood? Well, for the sake of this analogy, it's more like professional wrestling. They're actually quite similar if you think about it. Both require a level of dedication to produce something that's ultimately scripted and fake, with figures that are treated as larger than life. The difference, however, is that while not even the most hardcore wrestling fan thinks their favorite wrestler is genuinely one of the greatest fighters in the world, we all just accept that Hollywood stars are talented actors because Hollywood tells us they are. But getting back to my original theory, that the difference between the average person and a Hollywood star, in terms of ability, is smaller than we think, what proof do I have? Well, it's a phenomenon that you might already be familiar with. The comic. Have you ever noticed that any time a well-known comic takes on a more dramatic role, everyone is blown away at how good they were in it? We saw this recently with Bill Burr, but it happens all the time and almost without fail. Will Ferrell in Stranger Than Fiction, Adam Sandler in Punch Drunk Love, and more recently Uncut Gems. Hell, most of Robin Williams' acting career. The pattern is the same. Take a comic, put them into a serious dramatic role, and they perform so well that it has everyone saying, I was shocked, they're so good in dramatic roles. And it makes sense if you think about it because the comic is someone who has spent years perfecting their act. The day-to-day struggle of trying to make it as a comic means cutting your teeth being someone you aren't in clubs, on the road, selling yourself, your persona, and your personability. So when someone asks you to learn some lines and become someone else for a Hollywood production, you're already so overqualified for the job that you actually kill it. And this is where I feel my theory becomes glaringly obvious. Seeing the comic that has actually put in years trying to achieve this opportunity, surrounded by people who may have known someone, slept with someone, or hell, are related to someone, to get the same chance is stark. And this contrast is what leads me to believe that no one out of Hollywood can actually act, or at least not to the degree that we think they can.